Hey William. Hey, ciao.
Morning.
Good morning. Hey.
Buongiorno. Am I coming through well? I don't know. My Wi-Fi is weird.
Sorry?
Am I coming through okay? My Wi-Fi is...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Dimitris and Ichaka are joining. I think in a sec.
Hi, William.
Hey, good morning, Chaka.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dimitris.
Okay, Mauro has holiday today, so I think everybody we expected to be here is here. So welcome to the planning meeting. Last week it was mostly the Cloud Native Days week. Didn't do much except for our first CAPI super stable release from William.
Super stable is a big word.
That's why I said super. But yeah, we have a release cut. And that's still single node, correct? Still only supporting kubevirt and vSphere.
That is correct.
And generally speaking, we'll look at the board, but our plans from here on are obviously to get multi-node support.
That is correct.
And we got lots of requests. I mean, we get lots of questions about CAPI in conferences. William, you know more because I keep pointing people to you whenever
Yeah.
it's about CAPI. So I think their main request is support more infrastructure providers.
Yes. So the plan is to stabilize alpha as much as possible, and then potentially make a spike to introduce more providers in alpha or introduce them in beta. I think this is a conversation that we need to have. At the moment, these last few days after the conference, I've been working on removing some let's say workarounds that I've been putting in place. One thing that I've removed is the entire pull and push of artifacts via SSH is totally removed. This still has to land. It will land in Alpha 2 as soon as I have the end to the E2E suite clean. What will land also in Alpha 2 is end-to-end Hadron instead of Ubuntu. So I will leave the examples with Ubuntu, but now I'm only working with Hadron. Ichaka is already aware that I need the OpenVM tools in Hadron, otherwise the CAPI will never see the IP address of the hosts or the machines. I don't want to reintroduce SSH to pull. So a push from the machine to the management to get that information, but I want the management cluster to pull it. But KubeVirt is working fine. K3s and K0s both. I've simplified a lot the template, and I'm making a plan to remove the logic and see what should land in the providers rather than in the logic of the cluster API. So yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, we're going to see how we extend Hadron. We had some conversations on possible ways to extend that, but we'll have a look at that when we look at the board.
Yep.
Let's before we start, anybody has anything to bring up, or you want to drop early, something urgent? If not, we can just do it like we usually do with the board. All right. I need to share my screen now. There you are. And first of all, let me go to the 4.10 release, which is already out, and see we have some things left here, but not requiring work probably. So this one was just waiting for publications. Someone has to publish this blog post. Does anybody know if this is done or not? Otherwise, we'll ask Mauro when he's back tomorrow. No? Okay. We'll ask Mauro. Hadron QA. We tested on NVIDIA boards. We tested on a Raspberry Pi. By the way, there was Ludea, if I recall correctly, reported that upgrading didn't work. That was a beta release, I think, and we fixed it. Can someone correct me if I'm wrong? So it should be working for Raspberries now. Okay,
It may. It may.
Okay.
We have to test it exactly the
steps. Yeah.
The steps, yeah, in case. So install from SD card and so on works now, but in case we miss something during the upgrade or something like that.
Okay. And NVIDIA boards, can I check this? We already tested it on NVIDIA's.
Yeah.
Thor, for example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It has docs as well, I think. We saw tickets.
Yes. And in fact, somebody from the community, which was also working on NVIDIA stuff, improve it.
Nice. I don't know what this means. Boards that we support already with Kairos. What's that? Other than NVIDIA and Raspberries, I think we can check this as well. And then there's the CubeVip, for which we suspect there is automated test, but we may need to try this broken link, but probably moved someplace else. This one is broken, but it must still exist somewhere. So we need to test the CubeVip example. So I will not close this yet, just to finish this last item there.
Because there is also a couple of community reported bugs. One is NFS, I think. I think same guy has been testing Hadron and reported a couple of things that we should probably fix before considering this done. Like the NFS binaries, I think they're missing, and another thing that I can't remember.
That will be a patch release, though. I mean, we're not going back, so probably need the 4.11 to fix the missing packages. But we can keep this around, and we'll find those tickets and maybe add them here or to a new patch release ticket. Please remind me to do that when we get to that point, looking at the open issues, or if you can find them while we're talking, just I don't know, maybe push them up here into to see them. So get through them. Coco on no Hadron part, so it's the Ubuntu part we had. We have an open PR to update the docs. As soon as we merge that, where is it? Down here. As soon as we merge that, this can be closed. And support for SLS 5.5 for init that slipped, so that's going in the next patch release. It needs a change in Kairos init to fix that. So yeah, next patch release is gonna have this one as well, and some missing packages which we already discussed. But yeah, most of the 4.1.0 items are out with the 4.1 release. I'm keeping these open to not forget about the rest of them. Which brings us to 4.2.0. Looking at the tickets here, we have to categorize them a bit. Obviously, there is CAPI. That's a big one. So, William, if we already have an item that describes what you're currently doing, I can already pull it in. If it's either in progress or the next thing we're planning to work on. You talked about moving to Hadron. I don't see.
No, I not. No, that's so. So what once I'm done with the end-to-end testing, what I will do, I will comment on those that are done or superseded by new items and add them, because to be honest, there are things here that can be started until that we have some stability, like the importing machines, integrate KMS with CAPI for secure onboarding and all these things. There is a foundational work that is what I'm doing, and but like the last two, the implementation of the bootstrap provider and the control plane provider are done, but I need to comment in those, link to the repo, to the new repo that we have, and move forward. Yeah, I need to do a little bit of housekeeping, Dimitri. Yeah.
All right. Okay. But this one is an epic we're definitely going to work on in the upcoming release. Some bugs which were reported recently, which I pulled in. Then we have to work on getting the latest Ubuntu to work. Might not be too much, but yeah, we have to bump it in our pipelines and start releasing with this one. MAAS support. That's the first time, right? So it deserves a spike. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a spike. So MAAS, for people listening to the recording, that's Metal as a Service. That's a canonical offering, I think, or project actually. So it's open source. I'm not sure what this involves actually. Is there a good description? There's a docs. I'm not going to open it. I'm not sure where this leads. Is that a Torre, an internal one from Spectro?
Okay.
I'm not clicking it then, but we need a better description of what Kairos MAAS support means for Kairos users. So I don't know how MAAS works, but why does it need special things to support it? It is like you need an agent in the thing. How does it work?
I'm not sure. Indeed, that's the scope. Also, it's a little bit spikeish, this one.
Okay. And MAAS data source.
That's easier. That's on the cloud config part, just to
All right, spike is it is. Either we create a new spike ticket or we take this as a spike initially and then we create new tickets. SLSA architecture and security implications. So we're going to focus quite a lot on security and how do you call it? Like conforming to standards. Is it the right description of STIG and SLSA?
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, so for example here in this ticket there is a list of items we need to work on, and it's mainly pipeline work, I would say. No, there's also compilation options. All right, where did we get this list from? It looks AI generated out of some spec, I guess. Do we have?
Kind of. We don't have the spec. Yeah, you can refer to what's being
This
online, basically. It's,
security technical guides.
yes.
Is that the cyber
Mm.
mill? Who is behind this? Who is maintaining it? Okay, so this is like a government kind of thing. All right. I'll put this, no, not here actually. I'm gonna put this in the description so we know what we're talking about here. Editing a Torres description, so I can blame Ettore. There you are.
I remember a long time ago seeing some kind of a script about the STIG that will check to see if this all this list was implemented, and people used to run that to get a list of what was missing and what not. So probably comes from that.
All right. Okay, we need to investigate. This is also a little bit spiky initially, but there is a list of things to do. We just have to make sure it's the complete list and nothing is missing. MAAS. So also confidential containers. We've been fighting to get Hadron to work with SLSA. That's the AMD implementation of confidential containers, let's say, as a VM. So we're using AWS. Actually, I have one running here. For some reason, it doesn't work, but it's a little bit hard to find what we're missing. Because it's either a kernel option or something in the source or a patch or the kernel version or who knows what. And every test we do takes time, so it's a slow process. But the next step, so as soon as we get that working, which by the way is this ticket here somewhere. Where did it say? This is the one, and then there is this one. Okay, so this is getting it to generally work. Then we want to make it work as a host. Right now, Hadron is a VM. Then we want to try that as a host as well. And then we want to try the combination with NVIDIA GPU. And then we will have the full story, Hadron working with confidential containers and NVIDIA GPUs, which would be awesome. But it's like a 3-step and 3 slow steps actually. So we'll get to that gradually. And finally, William, that's what affects your CAPI work. We have to find a way to simplify how people extend Hadron. So the two of the promises of Hadron are small operating system, which obviously means we cannot just pull every dependency in, no matter who needs that, because that essentially creates a fat image, one for everybody. So having said that, we need a way to extend that. And there are two ways. Either we let everybody invent their own solution and put things in their Docker file and extend our Docker file, or we try to simplify that a bit and we show them how to do that as OCI layer. So for example, for what you need, the VM guest tools, I think, William, which is a package, we can create a repository which builds it from source, because that's the other promise, let's say, of Hadron, that we build everything from source, from upstream. So we stay as close to upstream as possible, and we have our own cadence of bumping to whatever version we want. So we don't rely on any distro. We can do latest and greatest if we want to. And we will show them by implementing a repository how a pipeline can build an OCI layer that has all the needed bits and how you can pull them in your base Hadron image. Okay, so we created this ticket for that, and the first, I think, let's say, I won't call it package, but the first implementation would probably be the needed VM guest tools. I think there's another
open-vm-tools.
Yeah.
Tools.
So I want to clarify a bit here because our examples already show the way of doing this, right?
Mhm.
Because it's just on the examples that I built, I always did two different targets. One is you want to pull the layer to somewhere else, so you just have from scratch and just push the layer somewhere, and then you can consume it as any other layer, or you just build a Hadron image. So from Hadron main, and you copy the other layer on top, and that's your final image. So I think on a way we already are showing in the examples on how you are supposed to expand this, right? And the second thing is, I think the OpenVM tools and the QEMU guest agent should actually go into the cloud images. So the cloud containers that we push, that requires a bit of change in the Docker file, but we already allow you to choose the kernel type. So you can choose the default one or the cloud one, which is supposed to be for cloud providers. I think we should just ship that if you choose the cloud provider, the cloud container. It just makes sense, right? You're going to be using it in AWS or in QEMU locally and so on. We should probably have those extra bits like we have the extra bits on the kernel.
I do agree with you for the QM one, Ichaka, but I don't know if I agree for the OpenVM tools, because the OpenVM tools are specifically what's needed just for vSphere.
Yeah, I
So
know.
it's comfortable for me, because then that means that I already have some. I can use the cloud image, and I have both. But I'm thinking that for somebody that does not need it, they have this package or this code in the image that is dead code. It's never going to run.
Yeah, sure. But we also provide kernel modules for OpenVM and like for vSphere and for QEMU and for AWS, right? So in a way, we are already providing dev code for someone always. I'm just thinking that first, in the old Kairos init way of doing things, we did ship OpenVM tools and QEMU guest again in every image that we created, right? So we just provide that as a default for making people's life easier. And it probably is a very small package. So
yeah, it's a small package, and it does make the life easier. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the easiness of the users just consuming that in every cloud possible without having to choose or having to mangle stuff. How big of an impact is that versus just not providing, I don't know, 4 megabytes code in there? I don't know. It just makes sense to me for cloud. Like you have one image that works everywhere and it takes advantage of the cloud you're using it and whatnot. It's not a bare metal versus cloud, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but before creating a new, let's say, repo, obviously we have to decide if it belongs to the base image or not. But at some point, there are things that don't belong in the base image. We expect that, right? So this still stands. So we can try. If this is not a proper one, we can pick another one. But this ticket is about implementing the first extension, let's call it, and showing how it works. So
I think a good thing for this will be Git, because if I understand correctly, some Flux or something like that requires Git in the base image. You guys are the Kubernetes experts on this.
Sorry, Chuck, I was distracted. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, something like Flux or these workflow things in Kubernetes sometimes do require Git.
Customize needs that. Yeah, kubectl apply -k will require Git if you run it.
No. The Flux would implements controllers to do such things like source controller, Helm controller, customized controller. So, but it's not needing it in the OS. It's pulling.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of something else.
No, you need it if you run kubectl and the terminal of Hadron.
thinking.
directly.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is the NFS client actually. I saw
for it. Yeah.
I saw
but
an issue.
NFS client, we used to ship it as base and standard, so we have kind of a promise there.
Yeah,
I keep it on the base image.
Yeah, I saw an issue from a user. Saying that they Longhorn breaks, and I understand why he uses NFS client in the background. So.
Okay, I put them here anyway. Whoever picks this up, we can discuss on Slack and decide which one is going to be first. I put them all here to remember. We don't have to decide now. So going back, we have some more tickets up here, some bugs as well. Some of them have already been discussed, I think. So how about we, let me check the current state of the board, not this board, this board. Let's clean it up and then start pulling in some new stories and preparing for this sprint. So Fedora and Hadron RISC-V test images. So there are some RISC-V tickets, all of them around the story of supporting RISC-V with Hadron. We don't have to go through all of them, but I think this is already. No, I will not say working because Mauro is not here, so maybe there is something still broken. He is the one testing it, so skipping these. Split adopters into individual organization adopter tables. Not sure. It's just a view thing in the community rep. Okay, how we present it. We just change it into tables. Deep copy of kubevip. Was that a bug? That must be 2 weeks back, because we were on the conference last week. The change was in provider Kairos, and I think we bumped it, so it must be in the latest release. Something was breaking because of this. It's not completely clear to me what came from a Slack conversation. So hydrating UV struct. When it's empty, there was a bug. Okay, but it's already in. Dirty frag mitigation. By the way, it's not just dirty frag, it's all three. Am I counting correctly? Or 2 or 3 or 4. Yeah, variations of the same thing. We have that in the latest release. Correct me if I'm wrong, disabling the modules, right?
Yeah.
In Hadron. Okay.
And we have the latest patches as well. So.
And we bumped to kernel 7, whatever latest 7 is.
0.9, right? I think.
Yeah. All right. Bump go to 1.26. That's just provide dependency bumping before the release. That's also RISC-V. That's also RISC-V support. This was a change in GHW, which was breaking when we tried to bump before the release. I think it was in Imicore, if I recall correctly. It was breaking some tests, and turns out they had a bug, and this was fixing it, but didn't make it. So it wasn't merged early enough, so it's not. We didn't bump it eventually, but it's not very important. Didn't have any CVEs or anything. So we're gonna bump GHW in the next release because this is already merged. I'm not sure if they released with this, but we can check next time. Fixed tail governance, that's in Kairos. README and things, but I think it was an external request. Yeah. Broken links and such. Okay. Hetzner Cloud Installation Guide, also external contribution.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very good
Oliver.
docs actually.
Yeah. And that's
Oh.
merged in the docs.
I'd be interested to make Hetzner the next infrastructure provider.
All right. Good luck to you. We have docs. I don't know what this is. NVIDIA things. Document, user merge, trap, ldconfig real. Chaka, is that you with this? No.
I don't know. I know this was also the external.
Yeah. Olivier. Olivier is contributing a lot on the NVIDIA stuff. Thanks for that.
Great. Olivier is great. Yeah.
Harden NVIDIA add packages Docker file. What does harden mean in this context? Fixed discovered while
Just make
bringing
them
up
more
packages.
nicer.
All right. RISC-V. I'm not going into details there. All of them are around supporting it. What's that? The operator uncordoned a node after an upgrade, whether it was itself that cordoned it or not. So if you cordoned your node because you wanted it to stay cordoned, like disabled, let's say, then the operator will re-enable it after an update without checking, even if it wasn't the one that disabled it. So this is putting if I recall correctly, a label to keep track of who did that. And if we're not the owners, let's say, of this disabling, we're not enabling anymore.
Wait one moment. We should have an option that after the upgrade, we can tell to uncordon the node. The cleanest way is to, of course, is to own the cordon and uncordon, but the better user experience, in my opinion, if to tell what action to take after the upgrade.
I mean, if you did the cordoning manually, why would you rely on the operator to do the uncordoning?
Because you can schedule the upgrade, right? I can say, okay, we start the upgrade Saturday at 6 a.m. So Friday at 6 p.m. you start cordoning a number of nodes, and so you can schedule that work. Then when you hit 6 a.m. in the morning, probably they're drained and cordoned. So you can instruct the operator to uncordon the node after the successful upgrade, and then you can schedule another cordon for the next set of nodes.
Cordoning for upgrades, you're not supposed to handle manually. The operator already does that for you. So if the only reason you are cordoning the nodes is to upgrade them, you can let the operator do that. It's already doing that.
Yeah, but that's also not fantastic, because I might have requirements. There are runbooks that organizations have, and these are reflected to the infrastructure. So cordoning a node, so scheduling an upgrade might require that the nodes are cordoned so that the nodes are free of work, free of the workloads. So there has been a drain and there has been a cordon. And cordoning does not mean that the workload is not there. Cordoning means that the workloads don't land there. So there is some.
Yeah, but it also drains. I mean, the operator makes sure it's drained before it upgrades.
Right. So then more of the same. Then we should have two modes, right? Fully automated, where the operator does all of that, or semi-automated, where the Kairos operator does the drain and the cordon and the uncordon, or where the user, semi-automated, where the user does the drain and cordoning, and the operator does the upgrade, and then it can be instructed to say, then uncordon the node on a successful upgrade.
That's the part I don't understand. I mean, if you are going manual on the cordoning, you could as well just check the status of your upgrade and do the uncordoning manually again, or script it or whatever, right?
Sure, you can. But then in that case, you would have an annotation to say cordon, or leave it cordoned, or leave it or uncordon the node. It's just having an annotation.
Oh, okay. But that's a new feature. I mean, I would suggest you open a ticket.
Yeah.
And we can discuss it there, like the use case, why one would go that way. Because this one was about fixing a bug, actually, because someone actually had a node cordon, but that they didn't want it uncordoned, and there was no way to do that. So what you're describing is a new feature, and yeah, I mean, we can discuss it, but better do it on a separate ticket.
Okay.
All right. And that's the PR for that. That's fixing the linter after a bump of the linter that produced more reports. And then UPX overrides and Fedora grab BFI packages. That's also RISC-V. So if there are no other questions, comments, what else, I can try to make GitHub archive them. All right, I did it. All right. Under review, update Coco documentation is what I mentioned before. It's open for review. Please approve when you have time or comment, and then we can finish this. Extra CMD line support. I think I commented at some point a couple of weeks back that it doesn't work and it was never picked up. Yeah. And we said, okay, we're going to give time or pick it up when we have time and implement it ourselves. So I'll leave it there again. It's not high prio. Then what we are currently working on, this is the confidential containers on Hadron, which I'm testing on AWS and doesn't work. Work in progress. My new plan also involves testing what the Amazon Linux uses. So we have an Ubuntu image that works. We know Amazon Linux also works. So finding the common denominator between the two will show us what we're missing. So that's my current plan. And turns out, according to Claude, that is, it pulled the Amazon Linux sources and it doesn't find any additional patches on top of the upstream kernel, which means it should work with only the options with that version, which is what I'm currently trying. I'm downgrading, like using that older version that Amazon Linux is using with no patches whatsoever, and I'm trying to see if it works. So maybe there is a regression later that needed a patch. So the idea is if that works, there was a regression in a newer kernel version which the Ubuntu source is fixed with a patch, and that will show us, will narrow down what we need to compare with and find the patch we're missing. That's my current plan. It doesn't sound very ambitious, but yeah, if someone has more ideas, please let me know. Hadron QA we already discussed, missing a couple of items. 410 release we discussed. We're gonna check Kubernetes. No, that's Hadron QA. For this one, we're gonna ask Maro about the CNCF blog post tomorrow, and maybe also extract this less 5.5 ticket, which was somewhere here at some point in time. I can't find it. I was very optimistic. What I can do is click this and no. There it is. Okay, this ticket here. I can pull this in. I like how they invented the browser inside the web page. They're opening all the tickets here in this side pane. How beautiful is that? This should be. Let's put it there and I'll move it. Go away. Go away. All right, so I'll put this here to finish the 4.1 release. So additional things. We have RISC-V support tracking issue. That probably explains why it's not done. Let's see. It is done. No, maybe. Okay, we need Maru for this, for the current state of things. And there are some open tickets here, sub-issues. So I guess it's work in progress. So this is what we discussed. This is enabling the coming future CAPI work, putting. Is that the one? QEMU guest agent. Is that what you needed, William?
No, that's a different one. One is for KVM, and one is for this field.
All right, that's also a candidate for the other ticket then, right?
Well, I think it's the same thing, right? It would make sense to have that in the base image instead of as a separate piece. If you are using cloud, you are using cloud.
All right, but I keep it there. Docs for NVIDIA building, external requests. Yeah, that's another one. I'm not sure if it's a prior. I put it there to discuss, but so there is a check inside the pod that does the upgrade, and it doesn't perform any upgrade if the image is the exact same. But that means an upgrade pod is already scheduled at that point. That's because when this was implemented, we didn't put any labels on the nodes. We didn't know exactly what is running on the node. We actually had to run some command on the node to find out. But after that, we started adding labels and annotations. So maybe it's possible now, instead of scheduling a pod just to run a command and find what operating system we're running on it, we can directly rely on labels and annotations on the node object itself and not even schedule a pod. That's what this is about. It's only saving us from scheduling pods when they're not needed, right? Just I wouldn't say performance, but improvement to make it less confusing for the user, because the user sees the upgrade pod and thinks an upgrade is going to happen. Actually, maybe it did happen for them. Yeah, for some reason it didn't catch it, but we have one additional bug. So normally the operator upgrades control plane nodes first and then the worker nodes, which is the proper way to do that. But turns out it only happens when you have a node selector. It's a bug in the code. So it takes a different code path. And if you don't have a node selector set, it doesn't sort. That's a simple fix for which I created a new ticket down here. And I think I put it on the upcoming release, the 4.2 release. So I will not open it here, but I did capture it. But still, maybe there's something else lurking there, because the reporter says he had this thing which supposedly would have skipped the bug. But anyway, we'll check it. But this is what this is about. By the way, guys, I need to take a bio break. Keep going without me if you want to. Otherwise, I'll be back in a minute.
Is this a good moment to... sorry, someone else wanted to say something?
No.
Yeah, is this a good moment to start mentioning that we want to do a spike on provider Kubernetes?
No.
Okay.
Never a good time for that.
Okay.
I think let's wait for Dimitris, who's very knowledgeable on the Kubernetes stuff.
Did you guys finish planning?
Yes. Let's close
Okay.
it.
See you next time. All right. Am I still sharing my screen? I think I am. Am I not? I'm sharing.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
Well, now is a good time, William. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, I Dimitris, I was mentioning if it's a good time to start talking about the creating a spike for provider Kubernetes for kubeadm, as we mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Also
Okay.
the plastic containers, to create a separate work on kubeadm that is maintained by us, and maybe launch a spike on it.
Have we agree? So just background information for people watching the recording. During the Cloud Days Italy, we had the opportunity to sit down in person and discuss this a bit. And we want to. I shouldn't be the one describing it because I was the one disagreeing with most of the ideas. So I can completely ruin it for you if you want. Describe it so badly that nobody likes it. Maybe you want to describe it, William.
Well, the idea is to have a generic provider for upstream kubeadm. The one that we have now in the organization, provider kubeadm, has proven to be suboptimal, and we have not maintained it as maintainers. Some users have been complaining about the heavy use of scripting and loops for checking how the nodes and the machines are getting registered. If failures are not captured, in the most safe way. So what we came up with is the idea of creating a provider Kubernetes that is not sitting in the same provider Kairos that provides K3s and K0s, but a provider Kubernetes that is only dedicated to upstream kubeadm, and we want to capture and expose the flags that are required and features that can be maintained through with upstream Kubernetes. So the idea is to create this separate provider, and eventually to even start reviewing how the other providers work, and to have logic that nowadays need to be added to third party components, the third components like CAPI. We have a lot of logic that sits in templating, and we want to have that in the providers. To do so, we need to have the providers being sneller, simpler, and more focused on the use case, such as can be K3s, K0s, or kubeadm. So create more simplicity, divide and conquer. That's pretty much what we want to do. Did I say it right?
Okay. Yeah, it sounds a little bit vague to me though. So I would rather have a specific list of acceptance criteria, because right now we're saying, okay, this is not very good because it relies on scripts and all of that. But to start implementing it, it sounds to me like let's just rewrite it, right, and do it better. But what exactly we don't want to do, I would like to see in a list and say, from this provider, for example, we don't want to rely, I don't know, on bash scripts. We don't want to rely on the loops you mentioned. So more concrete list, so we can say, yeah, it's an improvement, or it was worth the time, right? When we're
Right,
done.
right. That's why my suggestion to run a spike rather than rewrite and not even looking at this, because one, there are people using this. There is a release that has just been pushed 2 hours ago, as you can see there, and two, I don't believe that that is not sufficient to everyone. So we need to understand what is it that is working well, what is it that is not working well, and then the spike will tell us, should we start collaborating and rewriting and owning this provider, or should we write our own provider? So that's why I'm suggesting to run a spike rather than begin writing a new provider that is kubeadm and ignoring this at all. That's
yeah, okay. That's the first set of questions. The other thing I want to ask is, do we want to also introduce a change in the provider contract, let's say, how it works? Currently, there are, I think, 2 or 3 hooks in which a provider is being called. There is the most recent one, at build time, where we give the opportunity to the provider to download binaries and things like that at build time, and the old ones, the regular ones, which are thing on first boot, where we let the provider set up services and such. So do we want to make any changes to this contract, or even code-wise? Right now, the main provider, the provider Kairos, takes care of K3S and K0S, and then we have QADM separate. Do we want to introduce a new, how to say that, rule that each provider does only one thing, or how they depend on each other? Remember, we discussed, for example, having Edge VPN as a provider. Right?
And we have a card already for it, right? Probably would make sense to start from there, so we can build on top of something clear, like something which is defined.
Yeah, the card. Wait,
I'm not sure if that makes sense in this case, right? It's a completely different thing. No? Aren't we just going pretty wide with this?
I think we are. I think maybe there is too much in the pot. I think we should start from one. There is talks that we did for the provider Kairos to split the K3S, K0S, and Edge VPN. But that's a wider conversation, and I don't even know if it's something that we want to introduce with kubeadm, the Edge VPN. It makes sense, but if I see the Edge VPN as a very much an edge enabler, edge use case, and for Edge we have those distributions that are K3S and K0S battle tested for the Edge. For kubeadm, I see this as a thick Kubernetes, and we are addressing it for larger systems, not for Edge. But maybe this is in my head, but I would focus the work on one thing at a time. Then and the splitting the providers Kairos contracts, it's might be a bigger conversation.
All right, so we implemented like a normal provider, like it works now, but just re-implemented. So we first need to identify what's wrong with the old one. So should I create a spike that says, find what's wrong with the provider QADM, maybe by asking the people from community consuming it, creating a list and say, we don't want this, and that, and we want this, and that, and we have a concrete list before we jump into implementation?
Then we should ask the community to open the issues, because otherwise we don't have a clear, we can't go
True.
there and say, okay, we want to fix it, but how? We don't even have
exactly
an idea of what we need to fix here.
Yeah.
Okay, we remember who was the one with whom we discussed that. So I think, yeah, at least Dario, right?
Yeah, at least for sure, Dario. Then we have to see. I think we need to do a little bit of a round in the issues in the repo for the provider kubeadm and see what is recurring, what is actually this is a good job for Claude. There you go.
All right, no need to create a ticket to ask Dario to create a ticket. So can we just remember to remind Dario that please open a ticket with all the complaints you have and all the bad things you found on that provider, and then next time we discuss, this list and see if it's worth trying to re-implement it, or if there is something that can be fixed directly on the existing project and things like that?
Yeah, I'll ask him to do that now, and I will ask him to do it on the Kairos repo. Not,
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Thanks. So we have 3 minutes left, and I want to finalize the list of items for this week. I already have one story for Coco and a couple of bugs I can pick up on the side. So what do we pick from this list? Anybody already working on something that they're stuck with it for a while? William, you said you are doing some cleanup and fixing the end-to-end test suite on CAPI, so maybe that keeps you occupied for most of the week, and then you have some housekeeping to do and lots of stuff to pick from. So I would assume you are good.
That's what I'm doing. Yep.
All right. I can pull this in because it's pretty straightforward and mostly, you know, asking Claude to do it kind of thing until it breaks and we have to debug. But should I pull in the Ubuntu 26.04 story, which seems straightforward?
Yeah.
Are we talking about
that's one
replacing an existing version or just adding this one?
Just adding, no? It's not LTS, no?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it is.
But
right?
it should replace some other non-LTS one.
No, with Ubuntu. Probably have to keep it.
It's an LTS. It's an LTS. Yeah.
It's an LTS.
Yes.
So it replaces
Yeah. Doesn't really matter.
2404?
No, we still have to maintain that for sure.
Okay.
Too many people on that.
Yeah.
Simply.
So on the side, we just it keeps growing, the Ubuntu ones.
But that's not for the release, only in test pipelines.
Yeah, indeed. We don't release it anymore, right? So.
Yeah. But we still have to test 20 to 26.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
All right, and I can pull this in, boom, there. That's one story. And then we have the SLSA 5.5, and that probably needs a patch release as well. Put this there. How about the additions? Do we want them in the patch release, like this one, for example? And the NFS was also missing something, no?
Yeah, there is
there a story for that?
Look for NFS. Probably they opened something, right? I think so. I saw something.
All right, go to issues and must be at the top. This one. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll put this in as well in progress and go there. Appear. There. Anything else for the patch release?
No, I think the examples can be in there. It doesn't really matter that much. They're just examples. So if we come, I mean, they're not part of the release per se. So they don't matter.
Yeah, completely separate. Yeah. So what do? I create a release item.
Yeah, there is also new versions of a lot of things, including kernel again. So I'm not sure if there is another CVE around or something.
That's the one, 4111, right?
Yeah.
And I will not populate it with items. I'll just drag it in the right place, which should be this place here. And if I forgot something urgent, we can pull it up here. But let's not start, pushing everything the patch release. Only important stuff, okay?
I think some of the RISC stuff may end up in the release because we announced that we have basic support, so we may need to ship some fixes around.
Okay. All right, and then we have a full list of items from 4.2 to pick up. So I think I'm going to leave it as is. and leave some space for cleanups. Usually we do that after a release. So I'll leave some space. No need to plan the whole time, right? And we also have to finalize 4.1. Are you all good with this plan?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I stop sharing. We are on time. Anybody has something to say? Otherwise, we can call it. All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
All right, folks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.